We now have all the information available in our PHP code to send our email. PHP has a mail function we could use, but it doesn't work with every server configuration. Remember how we had to install software to make our computer process PHP code? Well, it takes additional software to make it send email. I recommend using a third-party library and a separate email server, but we're going to need to learn a little bit more about PHP before we can get that set up. Let's do that a little later on in the project. For now, let's assume we've already sent the email and talk about what to do next.
Let's write a comment in the code here as a placeholder. You can write a comment in PHP by typing 2 slashes. Anything after these 2 slashes on this line will be treated by PHP as a comment and ignored. We might say something like this: to do, send email. This will be a placeholder reminding us to come back here and send the email later on. After the email gets sent, we want to display a thank you message to the site visitor who completed the form. It might seem natural to include our header files here and then echo out the thank you message. That does work, but there is one problem with that approach. To explain the problem in full, I'll have to go ahead and build it out this way. Just like our regular pages, let's set our variables for section and page title here. Then, let's include the header. Then let's add the HTML for the page to display this message. Then let's add the HTML structure for the page, just like we have done on other pages. Then we'll add the content of the page with a heading and a paragraph. And then we'll end the file by including the footer. Let me save this file and switch back to the browser. Complete the contact form and click Send. The browser navigates to contact.process.php, and we can see our thank you message here. Like I said, this approach mostly works. Imagine now, though, that a visitor wants to visit more of our site. Maybe they click the home page, but then decide instead to use the back button to go back to where they were. When they click back to our contact.process.php file, the server might send another email. Some browsers will pop up a warning like this one, asking if the user really wants to resubmit the form.
Remember when we submitted the form and requested the contact.process.php file originally, we sent our post variables along with that request. The browser now wants to know if we want to submit the form again. If we say yes here, the PHP file will load and send us another email. If we say no, then we'll get an ugly error page. Neither of those are ideal. I suppose it's not too bad if we get duplicate emails, but in other cases, this could be a really big deal. Imagine a form that processes a credit card. No visitor to our site would want to click the back button and then have their credit card charged again. The best way to solve this problem is to have PHP first send the email and then redirect the visitor to a different thank you page. If we do it properly, the post submission will not be recorded as part of the browser's history.
Let's create another file for the thank you page. We'll call it contactthanks.php. We can move all the code we wrote to display the thank you message over to the new file. Back in the contactprocess.php file, we can do a redirect after we send the email. The PHP command for this is header. This has nothing to do with our own header include file that displays the logo and the menu. This is part of HTTP, the Hypertext Transfer Protocol, that defines how the server and the browser communicate before any HTML gets passed. The header field we want to define is location, which tells the browser to go look instead for a different page, the new page we just created. Our contact process PHP file will now gather all the variables from the form, eventually send the email, and then redirect to the thank you page. Let's take a look at this in action. When I submit the form, I end up in the browser at contactthanks.php. If I click back, it goes to contact.php, skipping contactprocess.php entirely.